You are watching the Huddle Ninja here with Tony and producer Steve. And guys, one thing about week 18 is that we start to learn about the contract incentives that guys have that they are looking to hit in the final game of the season. So I've got 5 guys here that could hit those statistical milestones this week. And if you want more, actually, there's a great thread on X by Sal Bet. So go check that out. He goes into detail about tons more that are on the docket as well. But up first is Mike Evans. So Tampa Bay is at home to New Orleans. Evans needs 5 catches and 85 yards. That gets him to 70 catches and yet another 1,000-yard season, and he gets a cool $3 million bonus. Should be noted that Evans does not have a great history against New Orleans, mostly because of Marshawn Lattimore, who is, of course, not there anymore. Steve, this feels like he could cash either of those props in the first half.
Well, Ninja, tell you what, after looking at that to me looks like a 6-leg parlay just waiting to happen. But also, yeah, Mike Evans, I mean, he could get that in the first quarter. Like, yeah. Baker's going to feed him, and he's not going to have to, right? It's a great point you make with Lattimore, too. Like, his numbers against the Saints aren't as impressive as they are against other teams, but Baker knows there's money on the line. And Mike Evans is like, listen, man, I treat you well. He'll get him a little something for the hookup, right? Mike Evans is good like that. I mean, I don't know how you don't parlay over 4.5, over 85.5 and a touchdown for Mike Evans in this game.
Yeah, I like it. It's $3 million. A lot of times we see these incentives and it's $250K, $500,000. Sometimes you get $1 million. $3 million. I mean, that's one of the biggest ones I've heard of. I mean, that is up there. Couldn't have more incentive. Remember, we saw same team, the Bucs. We saw Brady help Gronk out. There's those famous clips of him on the sideline saying, "How many more you need? Okay, I got you." I think we're going to see a situation like that for the Bucs on Sunday.
Even Geno Smith with just 186 passing yards against the backup Rams team that's going to be playing this week.
Yeah, so right on cue, Geno Smith. Like the Seahawks take on the Rams in Los Angeles. Geno needs 185 or 186 passing yards. And he gets an additional $2 million if the Seahawks win as well, because he has an escalator to 10 wins this season. Also worth noting is that he needs 13 more touchdown passes for another $2 million escalator. So there's that as well if you're feeling frisky on Sunday. Tony, not a ton to play for here per se with Seattle eliminated, but surely we see him under center on Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. I would just say be careful. Like if the line comes out on his player prop at like 242 yards or 236 yards, just realize that the yardage number is probably going to be inflated because it's not just our show talking about these player props. Other people are as well. And he can still get over 186 and be under a passing yard prop. That would not surprise me one bit. In fact, if this number gets too high, where it looks like it's kind of got like running away and getting out of control, there may even be an opportunity like right before kickoff for a nice number to go under on Geno Smith here. So keep that in mind.
It's a very good point. And as we sit here early in the week, those player prop numbers are not out yet. So keep that in mind when those do hit the board and the books do hang those numbers. Josh Sweat, another one. He has 8 sacks so far this season. 2 more triggers a $1 million bonus for him. He goes up against the Giants, who are not particularly strong on the offensive line. So a pretty good matchup for him here, Tony. Played them, of course, already. He did have 1 sack earlier this season. Your thoughts here?
I don't like this one as much as the other ones that we've talked about so far, guys. I see the appeal because you can get a great number on a 2-sack line. I see the appeal because Illuminor and Evan Neal are really bad tackles for the Giants, but you got to figure the Eagles are going to want to rest him a little bit for the playoffs. He's also only had 1 sack in his last 5 games. So the reason that you attack these player props with incentives is because these players are going to be motivated to get it, right? Well, he's known about this for the last 5 games, and it hasn't done much for him. It's only got 1 sack in the last 5 games. So I would lean toward no on this one. I don't think he's going to get 2 sacks.
Fourth one here, Steve. Derrick Henry needs a single touchdown for 15 on the season and a $500,000 bonus. The Ravens host the Browns on Saturday. Trouble is, Steve, Henry anytime touchdown TDs don't really tend to pack a ton of punch in the betting value department. Your thought?
They can pack more value if you bet them in the first quarter. Right? Like if you're looking to bet this Derrick Henry to get a touchdown, he's like minus 250 usually. So you either put it into a parlay or you bet him in the first quarter or first half. I mean, the first quarter, I don't know what his number would be in the first half. I mean, first quarter would be much more delightful. And I mean, it's also one of these things with the Ravens being the Ravens. Can't you see the Ravens coming down, first drive, march on the Browns, not give a shit, and run the ball down the throat with Derrick Henry, start that whole juju off like, hey, boys, we're going to win. We're going to pound them. Let's go. Let's do this. Here you go, Derrick Henry, start us off. Get it out of the way early. Make him pumped up. Because you know what the thing is, too? When we talk, Tony, you mentioned, it's like guys know these incentives. Like, the books know all these incentives, so obviously they're going to take this stuff into consideration. Like, we're not, this isn't like magic information that's just out there that nobody knows. But when you see these guys hitting their incentives, listen. All right, Stevie Pan. You know what? That's good advice. However, I like Derrick Henry to get a touchdown in the first quarter. Because when you see these guys get this, guys on the bench get a lift. Everyone's spirits are up. Everyone's happy. And that's the mojo and the juju you want going into playoffs.
Maybe for certain teams, but there's a ton of teams out there where there is no mojo and there is no juju on the sideline. Sorry, Tony, go ahead.
I think he's going to get it. For what it's worth, he had a touchdown and average 6.6 yards per carry when he faced Cleveland earlier this year. And also, for what it's worth, on the other side, if you want a counter argument, the Browns haven't allowed a rushing touchdown to a running back in the last 3 weeks. So just FYI on that. But I'd say he gets it. Will be interesting to see what the number comes out. I think it's going to be a little disappointing for some people when they see that minus number.
Take first touchdown score then. Like if you want to bet this,
what could go wrong?
Well, if you want to bet this and you want to find value, the two ways you find value on are a first touchdown score or first quarter touchdown, right? I'm just saying if you want to do it, that's all. I'm not saying you have to do it. I mean, I'm a degenerate, so I'll probably end up doing it, but I don't have to be proud of myself.
The last one here is an interesting one to me, guys. Cortland Sutton, 82 receiving yards for a $500,000 bonus. The Broncos are at home to the Kansas City Chiefs, who, like Dixon said, by all accounts, will be resting starters this week. He had 70 against the Chiefs earlier this season. Tony, would you back him in receiving yard props with this on the table this week?
Yeah, I like this one too. He had 6 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown when he played the Chiefs earlier this year. That was against their starters, so he's going to be going up against their backups this time. He's going to be at home this time.